We're going to jump into the second level, the second and third chakra. We're going to go into addictions and cravings, because this is one area where you lose power more than you know. And the way I want you to think of your addictions or cravings are the things that make choices for you that get you out of control, where you lose control of yourself because something outside of yourself has authority over you. And that's how I want you to think of addictions or cravings. So the most important, we're going to start by, what are my glasses? We're going to start by, I don't think anything embodies duality more than an addiction. Because with an addiction, it's that and you, that substance, that thing, that whatever, and you. And it divides your power. And if you could see yourself, it literally is that you have abdicated your sense of your power over to that whatever it is. And this is where I have to expand for you what qualifies as a craving or an addiction. And this comes from my history, as a medical intuitive. You think, people think of cravings or addictions as something, money, power, status, chocolate, if I hear that again, sugar, food, alcohol, gambling. But in fact, the addictions, and those are, of course, absolutely genuine addictions, but the other level of more insidious addictions like attention, approval, control. And when you think of having an addiction of control, it's control over what and over whom. Sometimes you target it. Sometimes you're very site-specific about who you want to have control over and why. You don't want to control everybody, but who and why. And what you have to understand is when you've targeted something that you've given control over, that person, place, thing, substance now has authority over your will. And it is constantly making choices for you, even though you've gone on. You are no longer conscious of it for a few minutes. You're here and you're there, but that part of you is still making choices for you. That part of you is still controlling your psychic field and your energy field. Now, imagine what is, if you were to receive health guidance or guidance for your well-being, that guidance is colliding with your addiction. That guidance is colliding with your addiction. This addiction has priority over whatever other authority comes into your sphere of consciousness. Okay? Like when I think of alcoholism and my experience with that because of my family, no matter how much guidance came into my brother, he was absolutely, it didn't matter because of his craving for that. So no, if he had had an apparition, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. Not even an apparition was strong enough to outdo the hold that that substance had on him. And I knew that all of his power was in that substance. So what I'm asking you here is for you to identify the choices outside of yourself that have authority over you. Not just addictions, but I want you to think of them as choices in your world that actually have authority over you. We could call it addictions, but it's, for example, if you need somebody's approval, and you're addicted to that. Someone's attention. You don't want to be addicted to it, but you are. And it's enough to cause you to lose your power, lose your balance. I want you to actually look at that and say, I have this, it has authority over me. Okay. Do you have any questions about what I'm asking you to do? And you need to have at least, let me just say something. I think that the addict archetype, going through addiction, is part of the maturation of our consciousness. I think everybody goes through a phase of being an addict. Absolutely everybody. There isn't anyone who isn't an addict in some ways. Now, for some people, I think they embody the addict archetype, like when I think of my brother. For other people, we go through the experience of having an addiction, and it's an experience, and it doesn't destroy our life. It doesn't control our life. It doesn't destroy our finances. It doesn't destroy our marriage the way alcoholism destroyed my brother. But the reason I think is because it takes consciousness for us to align our head and our heart together, because that's where our power is. The alignment of our head to our heart. And this is like Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. And one of the ways, the way in which we regulate the speed at which events happen to us is that we keep the power of choice divided between what we think and what we feel. And so we give our mind the day shift. And we say things like, I'll tell you how I think. I think about this, I think about that. And then somewhere we're entering right now that time zone between 2 and 4, where your mind's going to start going like this. Because it's shifting, you're going to be shifting power zones and letting your heart take over. And your mind begins to shut down, and it starts reporting to the heart everything that it thought about, everything it heard, everything that it's been contemplating, and it goes to the heart for review. Now, if you were in your ordinary life, you might be inclined somewhere around 3:30 to take a nap, or to say, let's get out of here and go into a different atmosphere, an atmosphere that is not so mental, but is more emotional, which is why you want to go to a place that's better, that's more dimly lit. Maybe go out and go to a bar. So you change your vocabulary. This is the significance of the vocabulary. You would say, I know what I said I thought, but now let me tell you how I feel. So you begin to rehash everything through the lens of how you feel versus what you think. And you keep these two apart, because the point is, when your head and your heart become congruent and match up, Baby Bear will make a decision. You are now congruent, and you will make you'll make a choice based out of congruent power in you. And that's when your decision actually hits the ground. One of the ways you keep yourself from making a decision is to stay separated. So you'll say, I know I said that, but this is how I feel, and I know what I think, but this is how I feel. And you'll deliberately talk this way and think of Baby Bear going like this, and every time you begin to utter a way to unite the two, instead, you'll shove something in your mouth. Or you'll say, well, maybe I'll go shopping. Maybe you'll do something to keep these two from agreeing with each other. And that's where the addiction comes in. You'll stay angry at someone. You'll do something, but that's what keeps your head and your heart from becoming congruent. And that's how we work with the mechanism. And when you are incongruent, you have to be an addict. You have no other option. You will be an addict to something. Maybe you'll be an addict to procrastination, to bad habits, to who knows what, but you will have some form of an addiction that helps you maintain the distance between your head and your heart so that you don't make choices that unify and move your life along. Instead, you are in the business of making choices that keep you fragmented. So you're still making choices, but the ones you make keep you fragmented instead of unified. Yes? All right, what's your experience with that, and what's your style? Are you talking to me or not? Yes. I said, all right, full sentences or we don't play.
I think fixing others or worrying about others is a place that I go to keep, stay unclear.
Oh, that's very good. I'd rather worry about you than me. Let me fixate on you. That's very good. So I make up problems about others. I exaggerate. Oh my God, they need me. Very good. Yeah. Okay, what else?
Procrastination.
And your style? What do you procrastinate? And make it a sentence. What's your style?
I'm messy at home.
I can't hear you.
Clutter. I have clutter right now.
Did I hear I have clutter at home? Did I hear I have clutter at home? Am I hearing that right?
Yes,
Okay, so you're a clutter. Are you a hoarder?
I'm beginning to be. Yes.
Okay. Okay, that'll work. That'll do it. And what are you hoarding? Papers, stuff, this, that?
Stuff from the COVID era, finances, beauty stuff that I don't use.
Okay, all right, that's right. Okay.
Random.
Now, and you're aware that you're making that choice. Are you aware that you're making that choice?
Yes.
And has any part of you said, stop doing this?
Yes.
And the other part of you says, so what?
No. I feel like
Here
I'm
comes,
starting
that's the
it.
heart. Do you hear it? Okay, I feel.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I confronted myself and saying this has to stop. It's, yeah. I
Okay.
came to a point where it's like a breaking point, and I'm getting my shit together pretty much.
Okay, but you haven't gotten your shit together, as you said.
No, because I came here.
Oh, here, this is where you're going to get your shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, you realize this is an invitation for me to jump in.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what may I ask your name?
Gabriella.
Deborah. All right,
Gabriella.
Gabrielle. You're very brave, and I thank you for that. And you heard how she said, this is what I do, and this is how I feel. And you understand that even though I told you ahead of time you're going to do that, you can't stop. Because it's an archetypal pattern in you. And this is how we organize our power. This is how we are organized. Even if I tell you ahead of time not to talk like that, you still will, because that's how you're organized. And you'll first tell me how you think, but then you'll automatically shift to how you feel. And you'll do it automatically because you're not congruent. This is how this is how you know you're not organized, because I can't get off this stage. You can't, because you're not organized, because this is what we do. And so you'll say, I know, and it's so extraordinary because the choices we make with our mind are so incredibly at times separated from what our heart wants to do or from what our heart does. We're like two different people. We're just like two different people. And you wonder where schizophrenia comes from. But it's like we're two different people. And your mind sets up a whole different life. And it goes and it buys makeup and it does this and it has this kind of conversation and that kind of conversation. And then your heart says, oh, well, and your heart finds excuses for it. And because these are such powerful parts of you that are so separated, they're so separated that they haven't met, they can coexist as almost two different people. It's almost two different people. And here, this part, your will, your choice, is making choices in two different worlds, but in order to sustain that, it has to become an addict. It has to develop behavioral patterns that sustain both the head and the heart. It has to indulge the head, indulge the heart. We're quite something. We're quite something. And oftentimes, it's food, it's stuff, it's shopping, it's whatever will work that calms the two down. Can you relate to that? Okay, yeah. All right? So you know, which is why when you finally, when you're with a person and you finally, even with yourself, weave a part of your head with your heart together in a moment of realization, it's called an epiphany, a transformation. It's so powerful that the quality of choices you make following when these come together, the quality of choice that comes out of here are so powerful. It's like, oh, no. I just got it. I just got what's going on here, and that's it. This is going to change this, and you're a brand new person. There's a very different force that comes through you. Very different force. So I'm going to just say I'll just say this, that you're at that stage of maybe identifying that you are hoarding as a way of procrastinating. Have you any idea what you're trying not to face?
That's personal. Do I have to say that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
That's personal. Do I have to say that out loud?
It's personal, she said.
Oh, it's personal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yes or no will do. Do you have an idea of what
Oh.
you're?
Most definitely.
Yes, you say yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't have to say I'm not asking, but I am going to give you counsel, which is because you're also grabbing your fifth chakra while I'm talking to you. And I'm actually going to say to you that you're erupting with a need to face, you're holding your throat with a need to make choices that are freeing you from whatever it is this situation is. Now, if I was doing a medical intuitive reading, it would be at this point that I'd say, I have to talk to you about what you're repressing because these are the consequences in your biology. There'll be a biological consequence to these choices. This is why it's so important you get that this isn't a game. That you are actually making choices that are life and death at times, that are really that powerful. You understand? And there's, what I will say to you is intuitively you already know you're sabotaging yourself. Okay? Now, when you get to a place where your system is telling you, do things differently, I beg you, listen to that. I beg you. I want you to think of an angel standing behind you saying, do something differently. Angels can't do it for you, but they can make you miserable. But they can't make the choice for you. They can only make you miserable enough to make the choice. And I hope your angel keeps you up at night. All right.
She is.
Good. Yeah. Yes. Wait a minute, darling. Beth. You know, it's very bright for me this way, so it's hard to see your hands go up. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's all right, honey. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
So the question I have is more about like the addiction feels like a spell. And how do you break those? Like when you know it's there and you can see that's happening and it feels like you're stuck in that spell. Like how do you break it?
How many of you feel that way? Your addiction feels like a spell. Your addiction feels like a spell. All right. To that, I would say you take it 1 second, 1 day, 1 moment, 1 experience at a time. Okay? One thing at a time. Never, ever, ever project the long run. Like for the rest of my life, I'm never, ever, ever going to have another chocolate bar or another. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to do 1 moment, just 1 moment at a time, and that's it. And find a practice that goes with it. Deep breathing, whatever it is, 1 moment at a time. 1 moment at a time. And literally 1 moment. When you get through the moment, say, look, I got through that. That was I was just fine. I got right through that. I got through that. And number 2, watch how you speak to yourself. Never, ever indulge self-pity. Never, ever cave. This is why I tell you, watch how you speak to yourself. Addictions thrive on self-pity. They thrive on the words deserve and blame. You don't deserve this. You deserve that. You've had a bad day. You deserve this. Go shopping, go gambling, go whatever it is. You deserve this. You have to shave your vocabulary of any vocabulary that wakes up an addiction. So you can't use, the word deserve, can't use the word blame, and you can't do self-pity. What you do is schedule self-pity for Thursday afternoon at 2 to 3. I'm not being funny. I'm actually telling you because everybody needs to feel sorry for themselves, but you have to parameter it. You can't let it take hold of you. You choose. Like, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now. This is for self-pity. I'll call you at 4. I'm feeling bad for myself. And I'm telling you, actually do it. I schedule self-pity, schedule it from 2 to 3 on like Tuesday afternoons, right? What do you do Tuesday afternoons? It's right, feel bad for yourself. Throw it all in that hour. And then at the end of that hour, say, good, I've given myself the attention to feel bad, and then knock it off. Knock it off. And then when you have a bad mood, to say, no, I'm scheduling it for, I'll feel that, I will acknowledge it, and I feel it, and I won't deny it, but I am choosing to locate you on the calendar next week. So I'm telling you, you have more control over these things than you realize. You've just never exerted control in this kind of way.
I think the difficult part is when it's an addiction to a relationship, because it's not like I can stop myself from buying that thing. It's just me and the thing. When it's a relationship, it's another whole dynamic.
Okay, but what is it about the relationship that makes it an addiction? Because it says that something about it is fundamentally bad for you or wrong for you. So what's wrong for you in the relationship?
It's not real. It's not real enough. So it just needs to end, but that need for feeling loved and attention that you can't give yourself.
Okay. Well, I don't care if you're going to cry. This is not going to move me when it comes to relationships. I'm unmovable.
I know.
I really am. I'm unmovable.
I know. I've watched enough of yours.
Yeah. Really. No, I'm not movable when it comes to relationships. I'm not good there. I have no romance in me at all. So it doesn't work. So, no, I don't. Really, zero. So what I'd have to say is, honestly, that kind of attention, I would say, sit with yourself and say, I am deliberately hurting myself. I am deliberately hurting, and that person doesn't care. Hit yourself with the raw truth of it. That person doesn't care, never will, never will. Never. And think about how wonderful you are and how someone somewhere really wants to be with you for the wonderful person you are. I'm not bullshitting you, I'm telling you the truth. You're a lovely human being. Why don't you believe that? Come on and make it good. Tell me the truth. Why don't you believe that?
Because I don't know how to show it to myself. I don't know how to do it for myself.
Do what?
I don't know how to. Thank you.
Nobody does. What do you think, you're alone?
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody does. Nobody's born knowing how to do that themselves. That's what we got each other for. Nobody does. Nobody's born knowing how to love themselves, how to be kind to themselves, how to think there's something special. Nobody. We're all born having to discover that.
I think I have to learn to get over the things that you talked about, where that victim place. I think that's really what's holding me back.
Well, one way you get over a victim is by not victimizing yourself. And that's the thing that you're going to have to decide. And one of the things is you have to stop bullshitting yourself and telling yourself that being lonely is bad. It's not. Being alone is the berries. I love it.
See, I've not felt that. I've always felt alone in a huge crowd.
Isn't it wonderful?
No.
Yeah, being alone is fabulous. Being alone, you're your own person. And you're not, and if you want to be alone, if you don't want to be alone in a crowd, reach out. Reach out. Change your programming and think, I'm going to meet people. And tell yourself the truth. I'm not alone in a crowd. There's all these people, and they feel the same way I do, and that's the truth. You think everybody in this room doesn't feel as lonely and vulnerable as you? You are mistaken. That's what the human heart feels like. That's exactly, am I making this up? There you go, see?
I'm not going to remember anything she said.
Okay. Yeah, darling. Did I hear? Where am I going? Oh, God. Okay. All right, we're going back and then we'll go forward. Go.
I'm having trouble with the current political climate, and I don't. Well, I'm worried I'm anchored in it. You know, I was at lunch looking at New York Times feeds, and I stopped.
Don't get me in trouble with your question. What?
I don't want to be hemorrhaging because of somebody else or some other group. So, but I also don't want to not read anything for 4 years. Hopefully, it's 4 years.
Or
so
less.
I guess, or less. So I guess my question is that an addiction? Am I addicted to?
I'm a news junkie.
Okay.
All right, I'm a real news junkie. I had a journalist major. I'm a news junkie, okay? And I'm a democracy junkie. I'm a freedom junkie. I was raised by a Marine who fought in World War II. I was raised by a real patriot. So I am an America junkie. And I'm a history junkie. And I know a fascist when I see one. Okay, that said, I think sometimes things happen, cycles happen. Did we try hard enough? Is this going to wake up something in us that's been dormant? We have not been able to accomplish equality. We have not been able to accomplish equality for women and all human beings, no matter what race or creed. We have not. We have failed miserably at it. Miserably. And maybe we dropped the ball. Maybe this is what the world looks like when we drop the ball on true values of what we should have. And this country has fallen in love with money, convenience. It voted in power what it really loves. Okay? What it really loves: power, money, white men, white men's justice. Okay, then, let's see where it goes. And what we have to do is hold on to values that I believe are greater than that. See where this goes. You want money, you want white men's values, you want white man's justice. Let's see where it goes. I do know this, that we're entering a whole different astrological situation. Many of you know, I'm sure you know this, right? Yes. Yes? Okay. So you know that planets are lining up in the first degree of Aries that haven't been there in 7,000 years. That's like the starting gate of a new age. It's like a starting gate. And Mars is, and I'm not I have my dear beloved forever friend Lynn Bell, who is this magnificent astrologer, will be teaching a class starting next month exactly on this. So Lynn and I'll be sidekicking her, but she'll be launching this wonderful class on this. And I think the configuration is one of we need to understand the different forces, whereas before Neptune was in Pisces, which is under the water, which is very blurry. So and out of it came AI, and out of it came fake news, and out of it came all of this stuff. But Neptune will go into Aquarius, and it's kind of like popping up from under the water going, what was I thinking? So very different forces are going to take charge in the next 6 months. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But in the meantime, I mean, the way to do it is whatever our discipline is, and this is really, 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 really a challenge, but I beg us all that we look at this and say, bless this effort. I have no idea. I know what I have to do it doesn't do me any good to be hateful. I will not use the dark weapons. I won't. No. I'll do whatever I have to do to try and stay as love-filled as I can, as hard as that is.